Hello my friends, welcome to Walking with J.Beau, an almost daily walking vlog on a rather chilly fall day. A little breezy today and it's 50 degrees, which means it feels like it's 40. So I am dressed appropriately for it, with a knit cap, my neck collar, well, neck cover I should call it. It's a neck sleeve. So we get some things to talk about today, interesting things I think. And I'm going to do a basic 5-mile route today. Nothing fancy. Well, there's been a lot of talk about President Trump's trip to Asia. Looks like he's close to a deal with China, which would settle a lot of people down. China's one of, if not our biggest trade partner. And Trump has imposed 145% tariffs on some things from China. And you can see that reflected in like websites like Temu, AliExpress. You go on there and there's that car still there. That's been sitting there for almost 3 months. That person is gone for whatever reason. I don't know. Keep an eye on it. I got a feeling they're going to start plowing snow around it. When we start getting snow, it'll get towed. And then it'll be gone from being towed. Anyway, Trump wants to secure soybean purchases for American farmers, because American farmers right now are having a tough time. And when Trump got elected and sworn in, the media tried to run a lot of propaganda that Trump was going to hurt farmers or was hurting them. And simple truth, however, is that the Farmers Association and many farmers as well had openly stated that they knew this was going to be rough, but ultimately they supported what Trump was doing, because in the long term, as with any business, long-term goals and gains trumps any temporary pain that you have to go through, which is the whole point behind the tariffs and a temporary increase in some prices for some things, because long term it's best for the business, which in this case is the United States, and that includes not depending on other countries for pharmaceuticals, oil, energy, manufacturing, medicines, rare earth minerals, which is what a big part of this trip to Asia is about. China supplies the world, okay, 90% of the world with technologies made from rare earth minerals. And that's a lot. That means chips for your cars, that means cell phones, that means everything that you use every day. We depend on China and rare earth minerals. And that includes military defense. So this is a matter of national security that Trump is tackling. And rather than get behind him and support him, the media and the Democrats would love to see him fail. Because all they care about is their own power and selfish interest, and not the interest of the country. So that should be glaringly apparent to anyone. There's a handful of Democrats that do care, but they're not really allowed to say anything. So anyway, Trump stopped in Australia, or it will be, or met with the Australians in Malaysia. I'm not quite sure what happened. I don't have all the info on that yet. It's on the other side of the world. Sometimes it takes a while to get the info. Anyway, regardless, the United States knows that Australia is a vast resource of rare earth minerals. And Australia does a lot of mining already. And that's important because we can get rare earth minerals here in the United States, but it takes a long time to extract it, to build the infrastructure to get it. There's a process involved. You just don't go dig in the ground and get rare earth minerals pure, like this is what we need to make computers with. It has to be taken from what you mine, separated, chemically processed. There's a big process with it. And China leads the world in it. And now China is going to look at long-term future goals, and they're going to realize that probably the tit has gone dry with regard to the rest of the world putting up with China controlling all that. Times are changing. And China, if they were smart, would realize that the writing is on the wall, despite the fact that making these mines and ways to process these things can take 15 years. So this is not an overnight solution for the United States. Somebody is going to have to continue this after Trump is out of office. But we can deal with that when that comes. This is definitely necessary to do now. But it is a very long process. It's not going to happen overnight, in other words. But we're going to base on whether or not China believes the United States is going to go back to how things were, after President Trump is out of office, by what they do on this Asia trip. If Trump gets what he wants, then that means China knows times have changed, and it would probably be a good idea for them to change what they've been doing. I'm going to turn the camera around for a minute. There we go. Hi everybody. Just want to say hi. Yes, it's a little cool today. But anyway, this is really important trip for Trump to make, because this is really going to determine a lot of things for the future with regard to self-sufficiency and weaning us off of China. Now, I can already tell you what the media is going to say. They're going to say, oh, this is great that Trump went to China, but he didn't get enough done. That's going to be the given response because, like I said, anything he's doing there now is going to take years, literally, to circumvent the need for China. So there's going to have to be some give and take because past Americans have given away all this shit to China over the last 40 years. Some companies, other Asian companies, woke up to this sooner than we have. South Korea being one of them, one of China's competitors, and they have opted to stop using Chinese sourcing as much as possible. So Trump is not the first leaders to do this. Excuse me. Samsung, I use a Samsung Galaxy phone, and they made a commitment to stop relying on Chinese technology a few years ago. And today, most of their phone, if not all, is not made in China. Excuse me. Samsung actually uses their own microprocessors and batteries and a lot of other things. So this is going to be a process. Now I want to take a second to protect you and your family. A lot of people apparently don't understand the dangers of lithium batteries. They're very dangerous if you plug them in and you leave them in unattended. You plug in your electric scooter and you forget about it. A lot of them don't have an auto shut off, and what happens is the battery cells start overcharging and consuming each other, and it starts like a chain reaction and they burn. They blow up, actually, they explode. Kind of like what the Israeli Mossad did to Hamas with the pagers they were using. Batteries explode, they can kill you. They explode they explode, okay? There's plenty of video online of home security cameras showing, one I saw was a scooter somebody was charging in their garage, and it just blew up. The whole garage went up in flames. Then there was another one where a rechargeable drone was left plugged in, and the drone caught on fire and exploded and burned the entire house down. Killed 2 people in the family. So this is very dangerous, and people don't follow the directions that came with it. It's the same common sense you would use for an air conditioner or a portable heater. Do not plug it into an extension cord, for one thing. Plug it directly into a wall socket. There's a thing called Ohm's law and ohm resistance, which I really learned a lot about in college. And when you change the resistance, you're actually changing the gauge of the wire in the charger. And you're also changing what the charger was designed for. So you're very likely to have a device explode, the charging cable melt down and set fire. And a lot of people do things like they'll charge their phone or portable device and they'll place it on a bed next to a nightstand because that's where the outlet is. Don't do that. Unattended anyway. Even attended, this thing gets hot and it blows up. You can't do anything about it. I mean, it's like a big ball of fire instantly. You can't just go unplug it and, oh geez, that was terrible, start beating it with a pillow. It really goes up. That's why I say you should go watch some videos on it to see how quickly they blow up and how big the fireball gets. So I waited till that guy backed out, make his life easier. So this is important stuff. I'm going to turn the camera around now. I just wanted to say hi. So I'll go over here, then I'll cross the street. Hopefully we won't get run over. Don't want to get run over. So you can tell it's getting cold. People have drained their swimming pools. As we just noticed in this backyard here. Don't know if you saw it or not, maybe not. But anyway. Everybody has rechargeable items now, whether it's a drone, bicycle, scooter, whatever it may be. They can be very dangerous if you leave them plugged in, or you use the wrong charger, or you use a cheap charger you bought on eBay to save a couple of bucks, and it's the wrong charger, but it looks like the one you like to use. Or it's a clone. Clones can be dangerous of anything. So the other thing I want to talk about is the shutdown. The government shutdown. Some people elected to office have said that this may not end until Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving. I would imagine people are going to get Social Security, and I would imagine people are going to get assistance for their disabled child that they take care of, but they're probably not going to get medical assistance, and I hate to say it, but people may lose SNAP benefits for the entire month of November. Now think back to Hurricane Katrina. Think back to the summer of love in 2020, when you had stores being looted, rioting. And then think about what happens when 42 million people don't have anything to eat all at the same time, because they're living month to month. Tell me with a straight face, as we look at these angels, these are people that were killed up the street, by the way. That's why this is here. That is to honor people killed at Schmenge's, and also just-in-time recreation. It's an angel for each person that was killed. The Lewis and Strong shirt. Just-in-time bowling alley is just up the street here, about a half mile. Terrible night. A year ago, October 25th, so horrible night. 2 years ago, it was on a Thursday night. Today is the 26th. So I just wanted to mention why that's there, so you'll know when we walk by it why it's there. I spent that night in the kitchen of our house with the lights out, because it's not far from where it happened. And he was on the loose. Nobody knew where he was, or if he was done killing people yet. At the time, there were reports of 2 locations, maybe 3 different ones, because there had been a report of somebody armed at the Walmart distribution center, which was actually Robert Card, who was in the area. Turns out he left his vehicle at the boat launch, so people didn't know if he left on a boat downriver. Nobody knew where the hell he was for 2 days. So it kind of gave me a taste of what things would be like when things go wonky, and the government shutdown is going to lead to rioting. Guaranteed, okay? Guaranteed. You're going to see mass looting, because people want to eat and pay their stuff. I don't think a lot of people have taken that into account yet. I have, because I pay attention and I go by what we've seen already in the past. And most definitely, you are going to see chaos, mayhem, madness, and you are going to see, I think you're going to see mass smash and grabs, mass looting. And this time, you know what? I'm not going to blame them. I'm going to encourage it. What do I mean by that? I'm going to cheer it on. Pending nobody's getting hurt or there's nobody doing anything violent, okay? That's a different thing. Never violence. But if Chuck Schumer's plan is to cause chaos and mayhem, well, I say go for it. Go for it. People got to eat. Somebody has a grandmother in their building, 80 years old, on government assistance, needs her meds and needs food. Somebody wants to break in and steal some stuff from a grocery store in an inner city somewhere to feed their grandma. Well, who am I to criticize that, really? Especially with Thanksgiving coming, people can't eat. So you got a Thanksgiving holiday based on people stuffing their fat friggin' faces, and you have a government shutdown that is taking food out of the mouths of servicemen and women serving our country in the military. The pay that they just got was $130 million donated by a billionaire named Mellon, who is a Trump supporter. He anonymously donated it, but people figured out who it was. And he still hasn't come forward to take credit for it, so that's a good person. Anyway, he loves our country, and he loves the people that defend it. And he's got cash. So he'll probably be able to write it off on his taxes. Comes out in the wash. So anyway, you know, it comes to a point where normally I would come on here and say, no, we don't smash stores. We don't break in and steal. But Chuck Schumer wants a war. He's gonna get one. And because they're stupid people, they're not going to realize the consequences of it, because people like me think about things. You know, we're thinkers. I'm just some asshole with a GoPro that walks around, MAHA walking, with a laptop computer in his kitchen. I get it, okay? I'm not somebody that somebody would listen to, or, you know, but there are thousands of people like me across the country who think, and they already know this is going to happen, okay? Because we have examples to go on. We're already seeing videos from people from the inner city saying they're not going to go hungry. They have contingency plans, and they're open about it. So we have a beautiful sky today. Look at that. So people have made plans, my friends. Okay? They're not going to go hungry. You and I both know 42 million people not eating at the same time. It's not going to go over well in this day and age. They're not going to be nice, in contact, soup kitchens. In the old days, you know, people would go stand in line at a soup kitchen, right? Now they're going to take their shit. It's all right, it's all right. They're just doing their job. They're just doing their job. So everybody knows that when push comes to shove, people are not going to do the right thing these days. They're not going to go stand in line at a soup kitchen. They're not going to go to a food bank. The good ones will, you know. But there's too many people that aren't good, as we have seen. So I'm just offering you something to think about, right? You know what I'm saying. And you know what I'm saying is true. So as soon as it is officially announced that no deal is made and people on SNAP are in trouble, you're going to see all hell break loose nationally. And they won't be able to put a cork in it. Democrats are going to blame the Republicans, but the Republicans are just going to keep talking the simple truth. We voted to open the government 14 times. By the end of this week coming up, it's going to be 20 times. Democrats, if they don't come up with a reasonable solution, and like I said, Chuck Schumer's already got resolutions ready to go, I'm sure, which include SNAP and paying our troops, but they're going to have stipends. They're going to attach things to it because they're trying to usurp the Republicans' one big beautiful bill that passed. And if anything, if anybody has a fucking brain left in their head at this point, since the Democrats are using the Affordable Care Act as leverage, should automatically understand by that fact that the Affordable Care Act sucks. It's not self-sustaining. It doesn't help people. And the best thing it could do is for it to go away, which it almost did. But because of John McCain being a selfish prick, I don't give a fuck that he was tortured in war and all that. He became a politician and he believed his own bullshit. And he fucked us all over. That's what he did. So Senator John McCain, if you hear anything I'm saying right now, go fuck yourself. Actually, I wouldn't be looking up, I'd be looking down. Go fuck yourself. So that's what I think of John McCain. We had a chance to vote Obamacare into oblivion. He was on board till the last minute and decided to give the middle finger to Donald Trump instead of doing what's right for the people of the country. And that's why I fucking hate these people. So anyway, the Affordable Care Act has demonstrated to everybody that's listening or can see with their own eyeballs that it cannot survive unless it's subsidized by the government. It cannot survive unless taxpayers foot the bill for half of the cost of it. So when you have Obamacare, that's costing you hundreds of dollars a month. The other hundreds of dollars from that comes from taxpayers. That is what is meant when the Democrats say, oh, UACA coverage is going to double. It's going to double. Well, it's going to double because the government's not going to foot the tab for the other half of it. And the Democrats look at you with a straight face and tell you that without admitting that it doesn't work. The government has to subsidize it, and it still doesn't work even when they do. That's a waste of money. So they're going to use that as leverage for a simple continuing resolution that they voted for earlier this year. Nothing's changed in it. They voted for it before, and now they haven't, because this is all they have is leverage against Donald Trump. Donald fucking Trump. So they got really mad at Chuck Schumer for caving in March. They threatened to unseat him. He almost was unseated. AOC said she was gonna primary him, and she was gonna take his spot as senator, and she's still going to do that. Remember, I said it. This isn't gonna save Chuck Schumer. So, and he's only doing this to save his own ass because he has the power to do so. He delves out the money for campaigns. So that's what he does. That's the job of the minority or majority speaker in the Senate. So this whole thing is not going to go away overnight very quickly. This has to do with an internal coup of the Democratic Party more than it does the Republicans. far-left extremist, socialist wing of the Democratic Party is taking over the party. They are having an internal war with the old geriatric fossil establishment that have been there for 40 years, who young people don't want to wait until they die. They're making their move because of Trump. Trump is giving them the leverage to do what they're doing. Because Trump is really pissing off the young socialist wing, because he's ending all their fucking bullshit they fought for, which we voted to do. So this is like this cosmic cycle that we're going through. We do good, Trump does good, far left gets angry, they rebel against their own party, and we have a revolution. That's what's happening right now. They're all intertwined and connected. So if Trump had come into office and did terrible, you'd have the same effect. But this time, people like Schumer and Nancy Pelosi would be doing well. Now they're getting blamed for Donald Trump's success. See how that works? So that's what's going on right now. And everybody else is going to have to pay for it. That's what's going on. I'm going to turn this back around. I'm going to make a pit stop at the park and use the outhouse. Priorities, my friends. Priorities. Later this week, we're going to have a whole crap ton of rain. It's going to fill this up. It's supposed to clear up overnight between Friday and Saturday. Every time the forecast changes, there's less rain on the weekend. So I'm anticipating that by the time the weekend gets here, it's going to actually be nice. Which would be nice because we don't want bad weather to interfere with range day, especially with my brother coming back from Virginia, and we want nice weather to go have some fun. Smelling a wood stove. Smells good. I love that smell. Oh, I love that smell. So anyway, that's my take on the shutdown, mainly. There's going to be madness and chaos. It's guaranteed. Guaranteed. Especially with all this stuff going on right now with ice and all that. Wow. We knew there were going to be riots this year. I think everybody predicted it. The Democrats are all proud of the No Kings March they had because there was no violence. Well, minimal. There was a little bit. There's always going to be somebody doing something. But you're going to have all these angry young people whose bennies have been cut off, and it's going to be chaos. You watch what happens. You're going to see mad dash and robberies, dash and rob. You're going to see it happen in places, you know, usually we see that at phone stores, high-tech stores, jewelry stores, smash and grabs. We're going to see that at Walmart, okay? We're going to see that at different supermarkets that sell food. Because the logic is, there's going to be so many people doing it at the same time, not very likely, very many are going to get prosecuted. Especially in Democrat cities that have already passed laws where If you steal less than $1,000 worth of stuff, it's a misdemeanor. So they're not even going to bother. They're just going to let people take everything. That's what's going to happen. So, oh, look at that thing. Somebody's going to go camping. Look at that. Somebody's going to go have fun camping in that Mercedes RV looking thing. Come on in, step inside to that show that never ends. Step inside, step inside. Come on in, my friends, to the show that never ends. A little bit of Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Emerson, Lake and Palmer. My friends, I'm going to work my way on over to the public shitter. Had to adjust something on the camera. I activated something by accident. All right, meander on over. Meander on over. Sun is getting low in the sky. Days are getting shorter. To use the public pisser. I shall return. Y'all stick around now, you hear? Welcome all my friends to the show that never ends. Step inside, come inside, step inside. Welcome to the machine. Might do some Emerson, Lake and Palmer and some Pink Floyd when I get home. Yes, sir. Pick out a couple of my fuzzy warbles. Fuzzy warbles. If you know what movie that's from, congratulations. What do you play your fuzzy warbles on, love? As I like to say sometimes, okay, with regard to the government shutdown, now people are going to start feeling the effects of it. It's going to affect everybody. A lot of people say, yeah, I'm not bothered by it, it doesn't affect me at all. Well, it does, because it's going to affect a lot of contractors that have to do with tax subsidies they get for payroll. It affords them to keep 6 employees instead of only the 3 they can afford, because they get a tax break. So this ends up causing people getting laid off for the holidays. There's a lot of things people haven't thought about with this. First and foremost, immediately, it affects military families first, mainly. And then it affects people on welfare, almost at the same time. And then it starts trickling through small business and all kinds of things. Some state may have a tax program tied into federal funds that gives you a tax break when you buy a new vehicle, for example, or apply for a loan. So then that's going to cause problems with that. It's a really big problem. So unfortunately, so this is going to be a wild ride. And if you have an 80-year-old neighbor that is on assistance, you need to help that person. If you got any extra food, give it to them. They're going to need it, because I don't think this is going to end this week. Younger people can find a way to take care of things, but the old guy next door can't see too good, disabled, he'll get his Social Security. That's not going to get cut off. Nobody would ever dream allowing that to run out, even though it's going to on its own in 20 years or whatever. So this is going to be a problem, my friends. People are going to have to look out for each other. Now, Maine here has a lot of food banks. I think a lot of people that need it will probably be okay in some form or fashion. But a lot of these old people don't have transportation, so people will probably end up having to deliver stuff to them and the like. So, anyway. Fucking Democrats. This is all caused by Democrats. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Shit's about to get real for them, though, because now they're going to have a lot of their people upset that they're losing their funds, whatever those funds would be. So typically these things don't end until enough people get upset about it. And Democrats caused it, not the Republicans. The Republicans are not going to cave on this. They went through too much hell to pass the one big beautiful bill to start putting fucking spending back in it that the Democrats lost. And that's all this is about. Sore losers who hate democracy. That's what this is about. Make no mistake. And they should be hated for it. I hope they end up losing more Democrat voters because of this. That may be the end result. You get a lot of independents in Maine, for example. Who are they going to blame for this? Susan Collins, the Republican, voted to open the government, and so did the independent Angus King. Jared Golden here in this district, which is a red district, and he's a Democrat, a blue dog moderate. He didn't vote to shut down the government. Well, he did, but then realized that the military wasn't going to get paid, and he's a veteran. Then he voted to support funding the military, which the Democrats voted against. So he's a wishy-washy moderate. He's finished. He's on his way out. He's not going to get reelected next year. I'm calling it now. I'm calling it now because Paul LePage is running against him, and he's very popular with Republicans. I got Jared Golden's email mailer today. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. He was talking about the shutdown. The general tone of it, glossing over it, was he's not supporting it. But he's in Congress. In the lower chamber, he's not a senator. So I'm pretty warm right now. I'm sweating pretty good. But that's just because I'm dressed for it. I had a rain shower earlier. So I've done about 4 6-mile walks in a row. Today I'm going to do a 5 1/4, which is basically a 5. I'm really starting to rack up the miles. I have 1,120 after today. A little over. cloud at the end of this road look really weird. It looks low and extra poofy. And it looks gray. It's kind of like sticking out from all the other ones. Winter is coming, my friends. Just hit 3 miles. Gotta take a left up ahead. So if people end up doing like smash and grabs at Walmart and supermarkets, you may not be able to get the food you want to get. Or you may get caught up in it by accident. So be aware of it, at least. Now, if somebody did a smash and grab, they're not going to take their time and shop for what they actually need, right? They're just going to grab stuff. You can end up with a bag of Milky Way miniature candy bars, a container of the wrong coffee. I don't think people would take milk. You know, that'd be difficult to transport without breaking. If you throw it in a bag, you're chucking it over your shoulder, you know, probably break the container. Maybe. You might grab some cheese. Canned goods. That's always good, I suppose. Spam, corned beef hash, things like that. I also found out why corned beef is called corned beef, and there's no corn in it. It's interesting. It stems from the days before there was refrigeration, and people would buy corns of salt. That's what it used to be called. They'd buy corns of salt, these chunks, and they would smash the salt up, and they would pack their meat in salt, which prevented bacteria and kept moisture out of things, and it would preserve your meat for the winter without giving you food poisoning. So they would corn their beef. That's where it comes from. Okay? So when you see corned beef, it's automatically going to be very high in salt. Probably not something you should be eating anyway. Corned beef hash, I used to love that. Get some onions, salt and pepper in it when they make it. And it's these small little diced up potatoes with corned beef. Friggin' tasty, very good, but will kill you. Just like the Franco-American delicacy known as creton, or cretins if you say it in English. A creton, which is a pork spread, which it spreads because it's almost all pork fat that has been seasoned and flavored. So basically you're chomping on vein clogging goodness. It does taste good, especially with tomato soup. You dip that in soup. Oh, sandwiches. Oh. Very good. It's nice to indulge once in a while. Just don't make it a regular diet, I guess is my point. That's when problems start. So I got a good sweat going right now. Yep. Whew. Feeling this walk today. I'm not even at 4 miles yet. That's what I was saying. Some days it's just not the same as other days physically. So the other thing I want to talk about real quick is self-defense. Self-defense. When you have self-defense laws, every state it is legally allowed for you to kill somebody in self-defense. But they regulate the hell out of it in some states, where pretty much it has to literally be your last resort and only option. There's several different examples. Most of the people, almost all of them actually, that end up in court, this is very important, end up in court for being involved in a shooting, almost all of them have one thing in common. They did something to instigate or perpetuate. They didn't go out of their way to calm things down. Somebody got out of their vehicle in a road rage and threatened you, and you got out of your vehicle. Oh yeah, motherfucker. A jury sees that from somebody recording it, or you testify that. It looks like you didn't do anything to defuse it. Then you end up shooting the guy. And chances are you're not even going to have charges brought if none of that happens. You stay in your vehicle and you look for an opportunity to avoid the conflict. And then that fails. Either somebody reached into your vehicle, put it in park, or took your key out of the ignition so you couldn't leave and you were forced to defend yourself. Chances are you're not going to be charged. But the single most important thing, I cannot stress this enough, okay? Now, I've never been in a situation like that, but I've read about it. I've watched enough lawyer shows. Shut the fuck up after it happens. Too many people, because it's human nature, and you feel like you were in the right, so you run your mouth. And because of the adrenaline, you might exaggerate. You may say something that kind of exaggerated what happened. Or you didn't mention that you ran your mouth a little bit, and then that comes out later. And you're on a police body cam running your mouth, saying something different than what really happened. So shut the fuck up. Officer shows up, give a brief description about what happened, not details. You can say something like, well, even with that, you shouldn't say anything. You shouldn't say anything like, I didn't have a choice. They forced me to do it. I didn't have a choice. Don't say anything like that. Just give them your name. And if an officer asks you what happened here, just briefly explain, this person had a confrontation with me and things went too far. You could say something like, I did my best to avoid it. But beyond giving your name and the officer asks you, you know, where this happened, how many shots you fired, you can do the best you can to be as accurate as possible. And I can tell you, when somebody went by our house shooting at each other in cars, 2 cars, that the police got 4 different descriptions from neighbors, and everybody gave a different number of shots that were fired. So a lot of times those things are not accurate. So I had said I heard about 4 or 5 shots. It turns out it was more like 9 or 10. But that's all I heard. And it started registering once I knew what was going on. So the point being, you could accidentally say something that harms yourself. Now, the other thing that's important is laws in the state. Maine has a duty to retreat law. That means if somebody's confronting you and you are not boxed in and you have an escape route, if you shoot that guy, you're going to get charged. Even if it may have been warranted. Now, if somebody pulls a weapon on you, that's different. That's the other problem. Don't shoot or do anything until you know there is a weapon and you don't have an avenue of escape. Now, if somebody pulls a gun on you, it doesn't matter if you have an avenue to escape or not. You can defend yourself. But if somebody lifts their shirt to show you a firearm that they're carrying, that's not an excuse to shoot them. You have to wait until they're actually going to pull it. Now, if they start faking, putting their hand on it like they're going to pull it, like, you know, like, come on, you think you're tough and they're faking pulling it. Now, that may be an option you may take, but you're going to have to trust your instinct at the time. I mean, obviously, you're going to know what the right thing to do is in that situation. But I'm just saying that if you're not careful, you know, it doesn't look too good if somebody is upset and they have a butter knife and you put 6 shots in them. That's all I'm saying, okay? You won't get charged with murder, but you will get charged with manslaughter, and you may get 5 to 10 years in prison, depending on if you voted for Donald Trump or not. I inserted a joke. But you're going to have people in the jury box who don't know anything about guns at all. And that's really what the problem is, because the prosecutor wants to have jurors that don't know anything about them, because then their version of what they tell them will be the truth. So anyway, that's why you should carry good defense ammo that's not going to over penetrate, because that's the other problem. If you shoot somebody and your bullet goes through them, which we've all done that, shooting at the range, it'll go through 3-4 water jugs. If it doesn't hit a bone and splinter and all that stuff, full metal jacket, 9mm will go through somebody. And it will hit somebody behind that you didn't want to hit. And you'd be responsible for that. So, even in a self-defense situation. In Maine, okay, talking about Maine. So the bottom line is, do not draw your firearm and use it on anyone unless you absolutely have to. My opinion is, if somebody is confronting you, running their mouth, pissing you off enough for you to shoot them, then you have a problem anyway. So, just my opinion. Now that reminds me of a film clip I saw today. Happened in Michigan, okay? That old lady absolutely had no clue whether I was going to cross or not. She rolled right in there in front of me because she was old. I mean, she looked like she was 80s, in her 80s. Anyway, this freaking guy in Michigan, living across the street from an old veteran, and this old veteran was losing his mind. He had a rifle. The veteran across the street, 71 years old, losing his mind. He killed two members of his family. And he set his house on fire after he got shot. How did he get shot? Well, this guy shot 2 people of his family inside. Then he was starting a shooting spree. He was stepping out the door of his house, and this guy was across the street eating dinner with his wife. He's like, "What's that?" "Oh, he's a veteran, not a war veteran, but he was in the military. That's gunfire." So he went and got his 1911. It was 1911 A1. Presumably 45 ACP, and he went outside of his house to see what was going on, which is something you're not supposed to do, by the way. But he was hiding behind vehicles. He felt safe. He said his military training took over. He's on security camera, calm as a friggin' cucumber, while the guy across the street is shooting at him and shooting randomly at houses. This guy calmly, just like this, no joke, takes his 1911, one hand, shoots the guy from across the street. Now, I can do that. We do that at the range. But it looks impressive on security camera when you're across the street. And a lot of people that don't shoot too well can't shoot a 1911 to save their damn life. And if you want to see how well we shoot ours, check out the gun videos on the channel. They're right there to look at. Some of them are 50 yards away. Plink, 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 one hand. Anyway, this guy took 2 shots like this, just calmly standing there. One shot, then he took another one. He hit the guy twice. One of them hit the guy's wrist, another one hit the guy's body. And the guy went back inside and he set fire to his house to kill himself, and they found him partially burned up and dead. So a good guy with a gun ended, which would have been a, well, he was just trying to kill people in his neighborhood, and he got ended by a good guy with a gun. So they had this guy on the news and he wasn't charged. That's in Michigan with Whitmer as governor. You know, they would have loved to make an example of him, I'm sure. But it was legally sound and there was no charges to bring against him. Probably save lives. So that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. That's why I brought it up. But anyway, it just goes to show you that training is important. I am fully confident. Now, with a 1911, I probably would have shot with one hand as well. Semi-automatic pistol, I may have taken extra time to shoot with both hands to be deadly sure accurate. But I know how accurate I am with a 1911 with one hand. They were designed to shoot with one hand. They feel more comfortable shooting with one hand. I like to shoot revolvers with one hand as well, especially the old West style irons, because that's how they were designed. They're balanced that way. And I shoot better with them that way than I do with two hands. So, well, a yes on one sign that I replanted last night is still there. Right here. We circumvented the cheaters, ones who tried to cheat. They're trying to steal the election. They're ripping up signs. Anyway. And I already know what happened there. That's at that T intersection. Somebody stopped there, there was no other cars around, and they got out of their car, or the passenger did, and they ripped the sign up. Hee hee hee! I'm gonna be a stupid little punk. I'll show them, I'll save the whole election. Morons. Around. Got a little bit of fall weather going on. Fall weather. But anyway, though, it's really important that you don't give a full detailed statement of what happened until you're actually sitting down with a lawyer. That's why, if you can afford it, it's a good idea to have a lawyer retained ahead of time, which will cost you about $1,000. So if you have an extra $1,000 you're not doing anything with, retain a lawyer ahead of time before you're even charged. After you're charged, you'll have one appointed to you, and that'll be the luck of whatever. You could get somebody appointed to you that doesn't like guns, doesn't understand guns, and they're supposed to represent you and save your life from getting 40, 50 years in prison for murder. Who may have just finished up interning, and this is their first big case. So the way the system works, so that's why it's even more important to do the right things when something goes bad to prevent even being charged. Most people in a legitimate self-defense will not be charged. They always contribute something that screws them up. Like they didn't think about the duty to retreat law. There is a duty to retreat law here. Somebody's breaking into your car, stealing stuff in Arkansas and in Texas, Florida, you can shoot their ass. In Maine, you cannot. You will be charged with wrongful death, voluntary manslaughter, maybe even a degree of murder. Yeah, they're breaking into your vehicle. You see them doing it, and you know they're guilty. But what are they stealing? Change in your console? You know, I mean, that's not worth killing somebody over. So, chances are if they're breaking into your vehicle, they're looking for a firearm anyway, which is legal in Maine. So, now if somebody breaks in your vehicle and they get a handgun that you left in it, it's not illegal to have a handgun in your vehicle overnight. So if they come out of the vehicle holding a firearm, you can pull your firearm. But here's the thing, if they don't have one, that's the other thing with Maine law. Criminal threatening with a firearm. So if somebody knocks on your door and they're giving you shit at your door and they haven't come in your house and they're yelling at you, you can't pull your gun on them because it's criminal threatening. You don't know if they're armed. Now, if they're screaming at you and they're holding a firearm, that's a different thing. So you have to kind of like play it with common sense. That's why I have recommended with your everyday carry to not have a whole bunch of bling on it. Don't buy something called zombie death exploding head bullets that look weird. Don't have all these skulls and crossbones on it and pro Second Amendment stuff all over your firearm, because your firearm is going to be evidence in a trial. See, that was an instance where a guy stopped all of the traffic to be nice for me to cross when I was not anticipating that. So he ended up causing more of a problem. Oh, this dog's flipping out here. Is there another dog? Oh, he doesn't like the cat. And Kitty's ready to run up a tree. It's okay, Kitty. You're all right. It's okay, Kitty. You're all right. You don't need to go up the tree. That cat's all ready to go up the tree. He's looking up the tree, looking up the tree, looking back at me, looking at the dog. Cat's getting too many things to think about. That dog wanted to eat that cat. So anyway, yeah, that's very important to not have bling all over your firearm. Now, the one you bring to the range, you know, I mean, I'll give you a perfect example. Okay, I got a 1911 stainless steel. I call it my Trump gun. We also have the 1911 that is the one that's fight, fight, fight. It's got Trump on it. There's even Trump on it with the blood on his ear, right on the slide of the handgun. Now, for one thing, if you carried that, you know, it's a $1,200–1,300 gun. That's going to get taken into evidence. And also, if the police ever come to your house or seize one of your firearms for some illegal reason, there's 2 forms to fill out. One of them is one you should fill out. The other one is one that you should not fill out. You don't have to, but they don't tell you that. It gives them permission to destroy your firearms, basically, is what it gives them. So you get arrested, they take your firearms, found innocent, you had a trial, they'll destroy the firearm anyway, because that's the law, and you signed it. So forget what that form's called, but you're going to have 2 forms they're going to want you to sign. And you're going to be upset at the time, and you're just going to sign shit to get it out of your face. What I'm telling you is you're giving them permission to destroy everything they took with their warrant. That's if they show up at your house with a warrant, okay? Very important stuff. There's a lot of information on the internet you need to learn. So anyways, my friends, click like and subscribe. Share the content. Say a prayer for Trump and the country. Trump is on such a big roll right now. The Democrats they don't know whether to shit or wind their watch. And unfortunately, they're doing all the stupid wrong things. And we're just going to have to go through it. And they're not going to come out of this looking good. And it's too late for them. But hey, you know, in the old spirit of me and Donald Trump and MAGA, fuck 'em! Fuck 'em! See you guys on the next walk. Thank you for walking with me. God bless you all. See ya!